How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video here on the channel. If you're a new viewer, thank you so much for stopping by, and definitely consider subscribing if you like what you see in this video. And if you're a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for your continued support on the channel. I really appreciate it. In this video today, I'm going to be continuing on the summer series with the refresh of my homemade go-kart here. I announced a few videos back that I have a list of different ideas I want to do on my go-kart to kind of update and refresh some of the designs and components of the go-kart because it's really stayed the same for a little while now, and there's some things that I definitely want to change on it. And if you watch the first video of the go-kart refresh series, I swapped out the valve springs in my Predator 212cc engine for heavier Honda valve springs to reduce valve float at higher RPMs and for better performance. So in this video, I'm going to be tackling some things on the front end of the go-kart that I've been wanting to do for quite some time now. So stay tuned. So in regard to today's refresh video, there are three things that I want to focus on the front end of my go-kart here. The first and foremost thing are the pedals and the return springs for the pedals. Throughout the time of driving the go-kart, the pedals have actually bent a little bit forward from being pressed a little too hard sometimes, in particularly the brake pedal. So I want to go ahead and try and bend it back and possibly even strengthen it by adding some pieces to it, but we'll have to see on that. I was looking into actually changing the whole pedal design or replacing the pedals with different ones that are stronger, but it's just too difficult to do that because I designed that whole pedal plate around the pedals that I use, so it'll be easier just to modify and strengthen the ones that I already have. The second thing with that is modifying the return springs for the pedals. The bolt that holds the return springs is actually bent from the same reason, pressing the brakes a little too hard. So I want to look into possibly getting some different hardware for them and modifying how the springs are mounted for the return springs on the pedals. I might have to do that off camera once I think about it, once I look at it in this video. The second big thing that I want to focus on today is the pedal plate itself. When I was originally painting it in the video where I painted the whole go-kart, I messed up and blotched the paint. There's a big run in the middle of it, and I just used standard paint. It's held up pretty well, has some scratches, but recently I did a project with my toolbox where I used a truck bed coating, and the truck bed coating is a great material to use to coat something where you need it to be durable, lots of wear and tear, add a lot of grip, which is good because it's a pedal plate, and just look good at the same time. So I got some truck bed coating, we'll sand the current paint down and add some of that on. And the last and final thing I just want to add are some gussets onto the front control arms just to add a little bit of extra strength. Since we've started to push the go-kart even harder and it's continually getting faster as we add new mods, I just want to make sure that those two things in particular are on tip-top shape in regards to strength. So adding a few gussets to the spindle control arm joint will make sure that we achieve that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jack the go-kart up and get it ready to get worked on. Alrighty, so now that we have the go-kart all set up on the jack stands here, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I was talking about in a little bit more detail with the pedals here. So since we're facing the back of the go-kart, this is the gas brake, but you can see the gas pedal isn't too bad as far as being bent. It's on the brake pedal where you see a lot more bentness, I guess, to the shape. It's not perfectly straight. It's honestly not too bad, but it's just one of those things that, you know, I'm out here refreshing the pedal plate, might as well just try and fix this up. So it bent, I'm guessing somewhere right into here. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my butane torch here, heat it up, and try and bend it back into place. And if I see fit, we'll do the same with the gas pedal. So before I start and heat it up, I'm actually going to go ahead and take off all of the supporting hardware for the brake and gas pedal. Okay, one thing I want to show you guys once I started taking off this hardware here is you can actually see this bolt that supported the brake rod is bent pretty badly. So definitely, as I expected, we are going to be replacing all of the hardware with the brake assembly with grade 8 so that this doesn't happen. So grade 8 hardware is much more strong, it's hardened material, so we won't have an issue with bending with grade 8 material. It's just a matter of finding all the right sizes. So that's going to require a special trip to the special hardware store called Marshall's, which is quite a little ways away from me, so I don't want to have to go there today, but I'll definitely do that in the future here. So I wouldn't be surprised if I found something similar on this side as well, although this side, this pedal definitely sees a lot more brute force than the gas pedal does. That's a pretty light pedal, whereas this is a lot heavier of a pedal, so it sees more force, hence why this one was probably the one that bent. So yeah, you can see right there just how badly bent that is. So, and same goes for this guy right here. So this bolt right here was the bolt that held the return spring on the other end, and you can see that it bent forward quite a bit. So that's only a 1/4 inch size in diameter, so I might have to try and upgrade, although it's really tight down here. Hopefully I can find a stronger grade bolt, or maybe we can do this in a way where we don't need such a long bolt and it'll be stronger if it's a shorter one. So I'm going to go ahead and continue taking this off, and then we're going to go ahead and start heating this up to try and bend the pedal back. Well, I was not expecting this to happen. I thought I had heated up the pedal enough here to bend it, and I guess my brute strength ended up just breaking the top part of the pedal off. So I think this is still very hot, so I'm trying to touch it with the welding glove there, but I think I am going to just try and weld this piece on, and if that doesn't work out, looks like I am going to have to order 2 new pedals, and we'll go from there. But hopefully I can get this piece to weld back on and work it all out. But in order to get the pedals off, I actually have to take the whole plate off, so I'm going to go ahead and remove those 5 bolts and get this whole foot plate off, because we're going to do that anyways, and then I'll assess the pedal and see if I can fix that. Otherwise, another pedal is about 25 bucks, so we'll see. Might be a little stuck. Oh yeah. Okay. There we go. Oh goodness. Okay. Alright, so I got the plate off on the front end. Here you can see the paint kind of bound together through the heat and I don't know, just the force on it, but some of the paint from the bottom of the plate stuck onto the frame here, and I'm sure there's some blue paint on the bottom side of the foot plate over here. So I took both pedals off. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and kind of wipe this down. Luckily the truck bed coating, because it's such a durable and unique type of coating. It doesn't need a whole lot of prep. So I'm just going to sand this down with the sanding disc on my grinder and get it, you know, pretty level and smooth it out, wipe it down, and then we should be good to throw some coats on it. And it only really calls for about 2 to 3 coats. So I think we'll throw it on 3. That's a good solid amount, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so I got the plate all sanded down. Man, this stuff is very gummy spray paint. It just clogged up that sanding disc like no tomorrow, holy moly. But I think I was able to grind it down enough, get some of the high spots out, and just kind of smooth it out to enough to where it will be a good starting point for the new coating. Like I said, that coating's pretty robust, so I think it won't have any issues going on to this, given the little surface prep that I've put into it. But yeah, I just want to grind it down a little bit, smooth it out, and now I'll rub it down with some rubbing alcohol, kind of clean it a little bit more, and then we'll go ahead and start throwing the truck bed coating on. Alrighty, so here's the product in case you guys haven't heard of it. It is made by Rust-Oleum, and it literally is a truck bed coating, has a wrinkle finish. You can get this at Home Depot, Lowe's, pretty much any, you know, DIY center or auto parts store maybe even. It's about $8 a can, and it's like it's a larger can than a normal spray paint can. But go ahead and paint the front side and the sides, and then I got it out in the sun, so hopefully it'll dry a little quicker, and then we'll flip it on over. Alrighty, so I got the pedal set up to weld. I'm going to try and weld that piece on as best I can. I really don't want to have to pay another 25 bucks for a pedal if I can just fix it this way. So hopefully this works, and we can kind of get some welds on there, grind it down to where it's smooth again, and be able to use this guy. Alright, so far so good. Do another weld on the back side here. Tack weld. Alrighty, so I've got the piece all welded back on. It isn't the prettiest weld, but I'm going to get it cleaned up with the grinder a little bit and then the wire brush. But the piece is all welded back on. It's solid enough to where it won't break off again. I mean, this is the gas pedal, so it is better if this one breaks rather than the brake, or the brake pedal. So there is that, but I'll clean this up, grind it down, and wire brush it, and it should be good to go. And the other big thing is the pedal cover here still slides over. Oops, depth perception on camera isn't the easiest. This still slides over just fine, but again, I'll clean it up so it can kind of fill that gap like it used to, but it's all good. Fix that baby. So I had to whip out the welder for one extra step, but after this we'll move on to the gussets. Alright everyone, so I made some progress off camera here. So first thing I'll show you guys, I finished up the pedal. So I went ahead and ground down the weld, smoothed it out with the wire brush. So it looks pretty good now. I'm thinking I might throw that same truck bed coating on here just to protect it from rusting and whatnot. Do the same with the other pedal as well. And then the other thing I've been working on here is are the gussets for the front control arm. So I'm thinking of putting something similar to that in there. I got a little bit of extra trimming to do so it fits better, but something similar to that, just so it adds a little bit of extra support to those front control arms where it meets the spindle and C bracket. So I'll do some more trimming of those things and then wire brush the paint off and weld these guys on there. Alrighty, so I've had some reconsiderations on doing the gussets simply because of I can't find a store that sells the paint I want to match this, because I used a duplicate color like anodized blue before and none of the local stores have any. So I think for now I'm just gonna kind of leave it until I can find some paint, because I don't want to get paint that all mismatches. I mean, it is a go-kart, but I still like it to look good as far as some of the paint work goes, and I love the blue color. So I mean, I went ahead and I went and made all the gussets for the pieces there, but I think for now it's fine. I mean, those welds are gonna hold up just fine. I'm not worried about them. It was just as like an extra precaution, but everything else is going good. Like I said, got the pedal all welded back together, and this is drying out here. So waiting for this guy to dry, and then I can go ahead and bolt it back on. So here are the two pedals. There's the brake and there's the gas one. That's the one I fixed. So they all look good again. So those all look fine. I think I'm just gonna leave them. Actually, I'm not gonna be worried about painting them, simply because they're made out of stainless steel. So I shouldn't have an issue with rust, except maybe the area where I welded, but for the most part I think they'll be okay. But I think that's gonna wrap up the work I was doing today. So I said I wanted to figure out the pedals. That was kind of like, I have to kind of spend some more time in the future on that, because I have to get the plate back on and then start messing with like the return spring and how that's going to work, and some of the hardware that bolts up to that. So that's going to be something I'll just do off camera, and then I'll update you guys in the future video. But we got the pedal plate all sanded down and painted that, and then gussets are on hold until I find some more paint that matches, because I called a lot of the auto parts stores around and they don't have any, or they don't carry it anymore per se. So I think that's gonna do it. I've got a lot of cleanup to do, so garage got pretty messy, but I was happy I was able to weld that pedal back together, because those are not cheap. Those are 25 bucks a pop, so that saved me some money there, being able to fix that. So the go-kart's looking good. I think in the next summer update video we're going to attack the rear end here and do some things related to the update list around the back. But that requires ordering a few parts, which may take a little while because I've got some money tied up in other things, but at least we'll be able to, you know, tear that down and address some of the things back there, and do a few things with the engine and the engine plate. But it's all looking good. Before we know it, we'll have this thing refreshed and back out on the road again. So thank you guys so much for joining me in today's video. I'm going to wrap it up here. Hope you guys enjoyed the footage of me wrenching on the go-kart and addressing some of the things on the summer refresh list. Stay tuned for the next video where we tackle some more items on the refresh list, because it is a fun project this summer and I'm glad to be wrenching on this thing once again. And before you know it, we'll be ripping this thing around a little autocross track very soon, and I'm hoping that the next big project on the channel will be coming soon. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but I don't want to say anything until I know for sure it's happening. So thank you guys again so much for watching. If you haven't already, definitely subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next one.